So you are one of the mentors at Oneistox, and and Saniye Oktem. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yes.
Okay. So Saniye, you are a BIM and Technology Coordinator from Turkey who holds the honor of being featured on Autodesk Construction Cloud's 40 Under 40 Construction Champions of 2019 list. And over the course of her career, Saniye has worked on 20 plus BIM projects of various scales, been a keynote speaker for 30 plus seminars and events, and been nominated as Innovator of the Year by Autodesk AEC Excellence Awards. And she's previously worked as a BIM coordinator for the first Turkish BIM metro line project. And today she applies cutting-edge technologies for BIM projects while simultaneously focusing on PhD and industry research. Like, those are really impressive. Like, that's a lot of work.
Thank you.
So please, to share with us like what you have been working on these days.
As I said, we are a big engineering company, so we have many big projects, and these projects are like the different types of projects. Like we have also metro line project, big factories, industrial buildings, some superstructures. So currently, I have been working mostly in the European projects, and we have many big projects from Germany, from Poland. And also we have a project from India, so it is also one of our fantastic project. It's the metro line in Surat city. And so nowadays I am currently working on these projects, but normally we have a kind of busy schedule because being one of the, trending topic in the industry. So there are many big tenders. We are also, as a company, we are following these tenders. So we have also big tender preparation works. And also we have a big team, we are trying to expand sometimes our team, and we are trying to recheck our procedures and workflows and update according to industrial needs. This is also one of our works. So these are our main focus nowadays.
That's like really big construction projects in both Turkey and I would say like around the world. Yeah. So can you take us through your professional journey up to this point? Like how have you started?
I am a civil engineer, so I graduated as a civil engineer, and I started my career as a coordination engineer. But I always say that I was lucky because I was interested in BIM, and then our company was awarded one of the first BIM public project in Turkey. It was a metro line project, so I had the opportunity to work in that project. So it is a kind of break point in my career. So I learned a lot from this project. Since we are one of the biggest in Turkey, and also we are the early adopter for BIM, we awarded many big projects later than this project. So I had the opportunity to involve industrial building, metro lines, or some factory projects and different kind of projects. So that's why I learned a lot from these all experience, and it was a good journey. And now I am a leader of BIM team within our organization, and we are trying to follow the latest technology, and we also worked as a research and development team, and we always wait for what kind of new workflows could technology bring for us. So that's why projects and our project workflows are really important, but at the same time we are trying to improve our skills all the time in terms of technology and digitalization requirements.
Okay. So you hail from a civil engineering background. How did you become specialized in BIM, and how did you become aware of it? Because usually it wouldn't have been as popular back then when you started.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't popular that much. To be honest, I have a funny story about it because we have a big supermarket chain in Turkey called BIM. So at that time, it was 10 years ago, and it was the first time I met with BIM, and I decided to turn my career that field. And I was telling people that, okay, there is a new concept called BIM. You know, you are doing everything in digital, and it is, I don't know, it is a good idea. And people were telling me that, are you talking about that supermarkets we are familiar with? So that's why it really wasn't popular at that time. And then I was a student, and it was the last year of my education. I just learned about the terminology. And at that time, I was preparing my finishing project. So I asked my supervisor to work on this. Like I told her that, okay, I heard about this concept and I am really curious about it. Can I search on this? And she approved, and it was the starting point. You know, I just took a look to literature. I learned about the idea, and I just tried to find some case studies and how people implemented in their project and what are the benefits or challenges, and I learned about them. And it was a kind of my dream to be a BIM manager, but you know, at that time there was no project in Turkey. As I said, even no one was familiar with the terminology, so it was like a big dream. You know, I was telling myself that if I would like to be a BIM manager, I think I should follow some opportunities from abroad, like international roles. And then, you know, something happened. As I said, maybe I was lucky. Turkey public authorities just learned about BIM, and they started to put BIM as a requirement in their tender. And then our company was awarded one of the first public BIM project. It was a metro line project. So then I had the opportunity to move my career from my existing role, like a coordination engineer, and I started to act as a BIM coordinator in that project. I was quite young, and since it was the first BIM project in the industry, all of the project participants, like the general contractor, as a designer, our company, all the consultant and authority, we were trying to implement BIM for the first time. So I'm sure that you can imagine what kind of challenges we faced with in that project. But I am still saying that I learned a lot from this experience, and it was a very good journey to learn and to start. So yeah, this is my story.
Thank you for sharing this because it's really interesting, you know, especially when we hear like someone that, how do I say, like started this really early, like something like this,
Mhm.
you know. Okay, so now you're the BIM and Technology Coordinator at Prota. And, you know, with
Mm.
all the projects that you've done, they sound quite a feat. And I think like what you're doing now is also a really exciting role. So what does your typical day at work look like?
Mhm. I think maybe it would be better to explain what kind of organization we have within our company. This is a design and engineering company, so we have many different kind of disciplines like architectural, structural, MEP teams, some infrastructure teams, geotechnical teams. So they provide some design and engineering solutions. But apart from these design teams, we have a large BIM team. So what, as a BIM team, what we are doing is, so we are supporting our design teams all the time. So they are generating their design solution with the help of BIM softwares, but with our supports. You know, we all the time, we are starting project together, and we are supporting them in terms of software limitations or in terms of their optimization workflows, or sometimes, you know, before the client submission, we are checking if everything is okay according to our employee requirements. So we are closely working together with them. On the other hand, there are some specific tasks for BIM teams, like 3D coordination, for example. We are gathering all the models, and we are conducting clash tests, and we are checking result and distributing this result to design teams, and we are discussing together. This is a completely, you know, pure coordination process, so which is my favorite. And also we are in some projects, we are closely working with the general contractor. So it means that there are some tasks they really care about, and as a designer we need to establish a kind of infrastructure for their needs. For example, maybe they would like to map their working schedule with our model object, and they would like to see kind of simulations in order to check their work schedule. And also, quantity and material takeoff and their cost progress is really important. They can use BIM model for this purpose, so we close work together with them. So these kind of activities, these are not included as a design scope, but as a designer, sometimes you need to provide the basic information for their task. So we are acting a kind of bridge between design team and the general contractor needs. So this is one of our main responsibilities. On the other hand, as I said, as a BIM and Technology Coordinator, my main duty is make sure that, okay, our digitalization procedure is up to date. This is a technological scope definition, so you need to follow the technology, you need to be aware of the latest industrial trends, and if this is something beneficial for your organization, you need to understand the logic and you need to implement within the company. So this is also one of the essential duties of mine. So yeah, I can summarize like this.
So throughout your experience, what has been the easiest thing about implementing BIM, and what was the hardest?
To be honest, I don't know, maybe there is no easiest thing. Everything is maybe difficult. So I'm just joking. Of course, there are some easiest things because, this, as I said, this is technology related job. And you have some software solution, and you just define a workflow for your designers, for your team. And with the help of software skills, you can maybe make your job easier. And we call this optimization. For example, there is a task and you are doing this repetitively. And what you can do is maybe you can create a kind of a solution or code or I don't know, something, and then you can make it easily. And instead of spending, for example, days or a few hours for this task, you can do it in minutes maybe. So this kind of things, the software allows you do this kind of solution. So this is my favorite part in BIM projects, and we have some specialized people in our team, and this is their main focus, and we are checking all the time our workflows, and is there any part we can improve and we can make it easier, and we can make it better, and we focus that part and we are trying to solve the problem. So this is my favorite part. And the hardest, I don't know. So as I said, I was involved in the first BIM project. So you can imagine that this is a big project, and this was a big project, and we were working all with the traditional guys in this project. They know whole process in traditional methods, and they were doing their best. And we need a kind of process to convince them, okay, this is the new trend. And also we will gain some benefit from this process, but they were ignoring this process, and sometimes they were trying to do their workflow how they are doing in the traditional way. They were expecting doing the same thing in BIM environment, and this is one of the challenging steps, because first we need to admit that, okay, we are changing everything. We are changing our culture, we are changing our approach to the project. So I think this is the hardest part, to convince people them, okay, this is the new approach. We need to change everything, and we need to admit that this will bring some benefit to our workflows.
Yeah, I'm sure that must have been difficult to change how you've been working. Yeah. Okay, so you have also been a part of Women in BIM community. Yeah. So could you tell us a little bit about it? And also, what are the professional challenges that women face in the construction industry?
Mm-hmm. First of all, I am very happy to be part of Women in BIM community, because really we share a lot of things, and I had the opportunity to meet a woman from all over the world. So basically what we are doing is we support, empower, and celebrate women in BIM roles, in digitalization roles. So I'm a regional lead for Turkey, but at the same time, I'm a mentor within the community. So what I am doing is, there is a mentorship program, and you match a woman around the world, and you just support her in some BIM roles. So I really enjoy this process. And as a regional lead, I am trying to, find the woman who are, who has the passion for BIM roles, and I'm trying to support them. And also we are sharing our ideas. It can be social, it can be, technical, and we always support all the women from the industry. So that's why I really enjoy for being a part of this community. So as a woman, of course, we are facing with many difficulties. Everybody admits that this is male dominant industry, and people sometimes thinks that without understanding the needs, they think that, okay, this job requires manpower, and as a woman it would be impossible to do this. This is just a common approach, and it is sometimes really hard to prove that this is not correct. And so at any kind of point in your career, you can face with this kind of problems, and people can ignore you that, okay, you're a woman, and this scope definition or this job description is not good for you. But as a woman, I am civil engineer, and I decided to, continue my career in these fields. And I strongly believe that this is not that much difficult job, because we, as a woman, we also can do everything a man can do in this industry. And I don't know, at the same time, I also think the basic logic of being, making everything collaborative and try to work with other disciplines more closely and in a coordinated way. As a woman, our character is more just prepared to do this kind of things, and that's why I think including women in BIM environment, it is better idea to make everything easier and in a collaborative and coordinated way. So that's why I think like this.
I think it's lovely, like what you are doing with women in BIM community. And I think also like someone like you is like the proof that, women can also really do great things in this industry. Okay, so now we'll get more a little bit into the technical parts of like so you have, I'm sure like you have used like so many softwares, throughout your career. So like what softwares do you like typically use in your line of work? And do you have a favorite?
Yes, of course, Revit is one of the popular one as a design or model authoring tool. So in our company, we use Revit a lot. Since we are involving infrastructure projects a lot, we also have some infrastructure and alignment teams, and they use Civil 3D for their designing process. And also we maybe assume that Civil 3D is a kind of BIM software because you generate some geometries. And also there are InfraWorks software, and which you can use for infrastructure solution, and you can also generate geometries, and you can coordinate the issues. And these are like the design or model authoring tools. But basically, as a BIM coordination team, we are working with Navisworks as well, because you just gather all the information in one place, and you can use this tool for coordination task. And also, as I mentioned, there are some tasks for the general contractor. Also, you can use Navisworks for these purposes. So we actively use Navisworks in our daily work plans. And we have some common data environment solution or collaboration solution like BIM 360 Docs and other common data environment software. So this is also in our daily routine. We need to check, is there any comment or is there any new version of the documents? We actively use this one. And also in European projects, BIM Collab is actively used. It is a kind of coordination and collaboration tool. So I use this tool. But if you ask what is your favorite, I would say Navisworks because I feel like everything is under my hand and I can easily check all disciplines and I can understand all the properties from the model easily. So that's why Navisworks, I can say that Navisworks is my favorite software solution.
Okay, thank you. So, like, in your opinion, like, what is the role of BIM in civil engineering? And like, what is the scope of BIM in the future for civil engineers, since you're a civil engineer?
This is the question I commonly heard from the people, that because okay, you generate 3D geometries and people think that this is most of the time an architectural task. But as a civil engineer, I don't know how is in this in other countries, but in Turkey, you graduate as a civil engineer and then you can be a structural engineer, you can be a transportation engineer, infrastructure engineer. I don't know, you can also you can specialize for the hydraulic solutions. So there are many different kind of fields you can work in. So and BIM, these fields, there are these kind of different fields and their relation with BIM is different. But I am always saying that if you are building something and if there is a part of you can generate the geometry and you can collaborate with other disciplines, so civil engineer can find a role within this concepts. If you are acting as a structural engineer, you know that structural is essential for our design and you are collaborating with the architectural team a lot. So that's why it means that you can, as a designer from design perspective, you can coordinate this issue, and with the help of model information, you can do it better. Or assume that this is a big project and you need to also collaborate with the infrastructure part. And as I said, I am involved in large scale project, and infrastructure part is crucial, because, okay, you are constructing your superstructure, but you need to know that what kind of infrastructure you have and how you can get connected with this infrastructure. So if you have your model, of course, your information intelligence model, it would be easier to coordinate and solve the problem. So that's why I always believe that civil engineers can contribute a lot with their intensive knowledge of design, and also if they put this valuable information to their BIM environment, it would be perfect. So also, there are some software solutions they can use, like Civil 3D, as I said, infrastructure, and also there is Revit for structural modeling. So they can learn about software and they can create their model and contribute.
We do know that like BIM will only get even more popular, and I think like even like civil engineers are becoming more interested in this BIM industry. So when is like the right time for young architecture or like civil engineering graduates to start learning BIM, and how should one go about it?
To be honest, there is no age for this, they can learn anytime, but the most important thing is if they meet this kind of solution and if they feel like they are really interested in and they decided to turn their career in that way, I think this is the correct time. What they can first do is they can learn about the software, because without software knowledge it will be difficult, and also concept before begin this kind of BIM projects. First thing they need to learn about is the basics of BIM, the concept, the logic behind BIM. If they are familiar with this and if they just put some software knowledge, and they can of course improve their skills during the projects and from project experience. But first thing they need to make sure that, okay, they are sure that they are really interested in, they are really excited about this technology, and now this is time for to turn their career path this way, and I'm sure that they will find their best in that journey.
Okay. So, I mean, yes, of course, interest is really important. Then what essential skills should a civil engineer have to venture into the BIM field?
Mm-hmm. So I'm always saying that, for example, in architectural education, they learn a little bit about other disciplines, but in civil engineering education plan, unfortunately, we do not learn about other disciplines a lot. So that's why the first thing we will have before starting working in BIM environment is coordination and collaboration. You know, we need to learn about how to coordinate with other discipline and how to use their data, their consideration in our design. So I think this is the most important part. So I would say coordination and collaboration skills are really required as a civil engineer in BIM environment.
That's really interesting to know that it is something that's quite different from architecture. Okay. So, do you think certifications are necessary for becoming a BIM expert? Then, do you suggest going for a master's in BIM, or to go for more practical or relevant courses?
It depends. Of course, certificates are kind of proof that, okay, you learned about this and you know basic knowledge. If this is a software certificate, it proves that you know about the software. So that's why it is important. But on the other hand, practical experience is also important. You know, I care more a lot the practical experience. But if you had an opportunity to get the certificate, of course, this is better, because sometimes in the tenders there are some requirements to provide this kind of certificates. So that's why it works for this kind of process, and maybe for this reason at least you can get any kind of certificate. But for the master, I think this contributes a lot, because I also got my master degree from the field of BIM. It was a construction management master, and my research area was BIM, and I learned a lot from this process. And also I had the opportunity to combine my practical experience with the literature. I use our current project as a case study, and I made a search in the literature, and I use some inputs from the literature, and then we improved our workflow in my practical experience. So that's why it was very good study for our company in terms of practical approaches and contributing from the literature. And also the result of the study was a good result and good research for the literature as well. So that's why I strongly suggest to get a kind of BIM or construction management master. People who are really interested in this field, it will contribute a lot.
So it is like the literature helping the practical work, and the practical work helping the literature.
Yeah, you know, a kind of bridge that you gather the information, you try it, and then you can share the solution.
I see. I think that's a really good advice, to use what you've learned and learn what you can use. Okay. So we know that you are a mentor for the BIM professional course at Oneistox. So why would you recommend Oneistox BIM professional course to civil engineering graduates and professionals? And how have your experience been so far with Oneistox learners?
I definitely propose to just take this course, because at least you learn about the software, you learn about how to collaborate. So we have many civil engineers within the course. I am close working with them. So what we are doing is during activities or during capstone project time, they are collaborating with the architects. So they are creating their model and their information. Architects create their model and their information, and during the project they are collaborating. They share their models with the architects. They try to use this model. So the engineer also civil engineers use the architectural model, and they are trying to solve some kind of issues. And it is a kind of real project, you know, they are trying to coordinate, collaborate, and see the problem and just try to think on the problem. So that's why I strongly suggest that, okay, you can, you know, just improve yourself with the help of this course. So what is my experience with the learners as a mentor? I have been mentored with many different kind of organization. So I really like mentoring, you know, I really like having interaction between the learners and learning about their ideas. And sometimes during the sessions, they are asking some questions, we are having discussions, and also they sometimes make me think on some different kind of points. So that's why I really like this process.
I'm glad to hear about your experience with Oneistox. That's been lovely. So I guess now we're at our last question. So it's really lovely. So do you have any like advices or like words of encouragement, basically, for aspiring civil engineers who want to delve into the BIM industry?
What I can say is there is no escape from the technology and digitalization, you know. And one way or another, I'm sure that they will face with this kind of requirements in their career if they are ignoring it at the moment. So if they start to do this earlier in the earlier time of their career, it would be an advantage, you know, they would be luckier. So that's why I am saying that there is no escape. Please admit this, and if you have any kind of little interest in this, please follow it, and please try to a part of this kind of big BIM environment, because you know, each stakeholder, each design party, everybody is important in this environment. And as a civil engineer, we have a really important and we have a crucial role, you know, in the construction project. So that's why if you make it more digital, more technological, it means that it will be more beneficial to the industry. So that's why please make this, you know, like an early adopter, and you will see the benefits of this in your future career.
Thank you. I hope that many civil engineers and graduates will feel inspired to become a BIM professional too after hearing your words, because yeah, like you said, civil engineering is a very crucial role in the AEC industry. So of course, they all should, once they incorporate the technology, their role become even bigger. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so that ends our interview officially. Thank you so much for your time and your lovely answers, Saniye. It's been, I think, a very inspiring and informative conversation that we have today.
Thank you very much having me. I really enjoy, and hope that, I don't know, this information will reach the interested people, and they will learn about our experience and what we are doing in Oneistox, and they will be more interested in BIM environments, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. It's been really, the informations have been will be really helpful. Okay, thank you again. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, and a wonderful week. Enjoy your
Thank you very much.
whole day.
Bye.
Okay, bye bye. See you again.